Hello, this is Ralph K. Ginorio. Give me a few minutes and I'll suggest an idea worth considering. The Christian faith matters because I'm convinced that the only way we save the Republic is if Christianity in its most generic sense finds a way to be missionized into young people today. This is the same problem that faced the first Christians when they left Judea and went into the Greco-Roman world. It's the problem of St. Paul. Can you become a Christian without first becoming Jewish? That was one of the great questions that Paul had to deal with. There were many people who were intrigued by the notion not only that there was a creator, but that there was a loving creator who knew us, who cared about us, who sought our redemption, who eagerly awaited us to choose him, and who cared so much about us that he gave his only Son in sacrifice in hopes that we would choose redemption. This is a powerful message. The universe isn't accidental. The author of life loves us. The author of life has given for us and wants nothing more highly than for us to choose him. This is a compelling message. And it has jumped cultural barriers again and again when Christians remember the simple lesson of Paul. When he was faced with the question of, do new converts need to become circumcised? Do new converts need to follow kosher dietary laws? Do they need to follow the scribal law? And all of the other rituals of faith that observant Jewish people follow. Paul prayed on it, and in the end, his decision shaped mainline Christianity, Orthodox, Catholic, and Protestant, and Reformed, for the next 17, 18, 1900 years. His decision, after praying on it, the inspired decision of God, he would argue, no, you don't need to become Jewish before you become a Christian. You can be a Greek Christian. You can be a Roman Christian. You can be a Christian from almost any culture on earth. And that basic choice allows Christianity to spread like wildfire throughout the Greco-Roman world. A similar choice was made when the Roman Empire became Christian. Christianity had been an underground movement, and it followed many of the patterns of a cult or an underground movement. But when Constantine the Great, in the early 300s, makes Christianity legal, and when a generation later Christianity becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire, the Christian faith has to transform itself from an underground movement into the official state religion. There's another more transmogrification that takes place when the Roman Empire falls in the West. Christianity needs to, during the time of the fall of Rome, make itself understandable to primitive German and Gothic barbarians, and it does so. First in its Arian form and then in its Catholic form, Christianity makes itself understood to the Germans, the Goths, and later the Vikings and the Magyars, and a bunch of other barbarian-type peoples. And it does this because the simple message of Christianity is something that most primitive people can understand. In fact, that most human beings of any culture can understand. When Christianity goes out into the world with the discovery voyages of Europeans, Christianity, again, leaps cultural barriers and spreads throughout Latin America, Africa, and Asia. The Christian faith, when people remember that you don't need to become a Jew before you become a Christian, is a universal faith. 100 years ago, American China missionaries forgot this. They taught their converts that to become truly Christian, they needed to slough off some of that primitive Chinese Confucian stuff and become Americans in certain respects. The Chinese were taught that the price of Christianity was to leave the culture. As a result, Christianity is persecuted hardcore by nationalist Chinese to this day. The worst persecution of Christians in human history after Rome is happening right now in the People's Republic of China. So, the Christian faith is culturally universal. This matters because right now the mainline Christian religions in the United States are beset by either the heresy of fundamentalism, which claims sure and certain human knowledge of who is to be saved and damned based on cultural choices people make, and liberation theology and Christian socialism, which is basically Marxism with Jesus, which is also a heresy. Jesus did not come to save the poor in terms of money. He came to save the poor in terms of spirit. He came to save all of us. And if Christians forget that and get bogged down in cultural arguments, they lose. This is a time when the West's very existence is on the line. When the United States' very existence as a recognizable constitutional republic is on the line. And it all has to do with, it all comes back to, can you have American-style freedom without a basically Christian, if tolerantly Christian population? And I would argue, in the end, the answer is no. But the population cannot be kept Christian by lawmaking. The Christian faith, since the 1960s, has been corrupted and destroyed in its institutional forms by fundamentalism and liberation theology. If the Christian faith is once again to become meaningful to people, young people, people who've been taught that Christians are nothing but bigots, if the Christian faith, the simple Christian message, is to transform hearts, minds, and souls, then Christians need to understand that we are missionaries in a new pagan world. We need to slough off the culture of the Cretians. We need to get rid of this assumption that you have to become an American of the 1950s in order to become a Christian. We have to give up this notion that government is on the side of social policy and instead embrace freedom. And in the cause of that freedom, speak freely and boldly and creatively about the acute reality that God so loved the world he sent his only begotten Son here. If that doesn't happen in a way that's meaningful to the coming generations, we will degenerate into a secular and then anarchic society ripe for conquest and destruction. That's what's on the line. Consider that and be well.